What if I told you the most anticipated Dragon Ball Z game in the last 20 years is actually one of the worst? Budokai Tenkaichi 4 or Sparking Zero, I don't know why I said it like that, is one of the most disappointing games of my lifetime. Sparking Zero was supposed to be the game that quenched the thirst of a generation of Dragon Ball Z gamers. The generation who grew up playing the Tenkaichi series. How fond those memories were. I'm talking like way back in time here, when owning a Blackberry was considered a status symbol. Until, of course, the iPhone came out, which wiped the Blackberry off the face of planet Earth. Yeah, I belong to that generation of gamers who had been waiting for the last 20 years in hope that Bandai would finally release a Dragon Ball Z game that embraced its roots. But all we kept getting was this dog shit.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
But it seems the Bandai gods finally heard our prayers, and everything was about to change on the 6th of March 2023. This 55-second long clip was enough to make a grown man cry. And if you didn't shed a tear, then I assume you must be feeling a lot of heaviness in your chest because your heart is made out of stone. The Dragon Ball Z community was the loudest and the happiest it had ever been. For the next year and a half until the game was released, my YouTube homepage was flooded with character reveals, trailer breakdowns, analyzing every 7-second long clip. And to be frank, I was loving every single moment of it. Everything we saw so far made me believe that we finally were getting a worthy successor to the Tenkaichi series. But it obviously didn't turn out that way. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making this video, would I? I fell out of love with this game faster than the time it took Trunks to slice Frieza up as if he were a domino pizza. Frieza pizza? Funny, yeah? Please laugh at my jokes. Before I kamehameha the crap out of Sparking Zero, answer me this one question. Hands on your heart, if I asked you to choose one game out of the list of all of these Dragon Ball Z games, which game would you choose and why? Be honest, nobody's gonna judge you. Except me, of course. So now let's get into it. Sparking Zero is by all means not a bad game. In fairness, it probably has the best graphics of any Dragon Ball Z game since Kakarot. And the combat system is pretty neat too. It actually has some depth to it and it's not just smashing square, triangle all the time. To top it all off, the custom battle was a very unique addition to the franchise. And to be honest, I did not see this coming. But it actually has some pretty good depth to it and allows you to customize any scenario the way you want. On paper, this is a very promising game and has all the ingredients to be the best Dragon Ball Z game of all time. But that paper was quickly turned to shreds, set on fire, and instant transmission into the trash bin. So let's start with the episode battle, right? This mode is nothing but a dull PowerPoint presentation of the once very beautiful cinematic story mode that the Tenkaichi series was known for. Like, whose idea was it to use still pictures to tell a story in a game where the heart and soul is the story mode? Yeah, sure, there were a few sick what-if scenarios in the episode battle, and the Gohan Black one especially stood out. Of course, you would then assume that Gohan Black would be a playable character, right? Think again, yeah. He's not a playable character. But overall, the presentation of this mode felt flatter than Vegeta's forehead. The custom battle, on the other hand, is a welcoming addition to the community, allowing you to build your dream battle scenario and fulfill your childhood fantasy of Mr. Satan absolutely decimating everyone. Come on, man, show some respect to the people's champion. But let's be real, this isn't something you wake up excited to play every day. And sure, it's refreshing to run through a few battle scenarios every now and then. And shout out to the community who have been actively creating some very enjoyable content for us. But beyond that, I'm afraid there just isn't much to keep you coming back. And finally, the mode that I had the most hope for, the online mode. Let's get this straight. What the absolute is this? Where do I even begin? For a game released in 2024, you would expect them to incorporate rollback netcode, right? Like that's the bare minimum in any modern day fighting game. But nope. What they did was add delay based netcode. For those of you unaware, delay based netcode works by intentionally delaying your input to match what the opponent sees. Yeah, so you see those green bars on the bottom of the game? Yeah, they don't mean crap because you're always lagging back by 3 to 6 frames in every game. The next thing you know, your opponent is spamming lightning surprise attacks with his Master Roshi, while your character is stuck in an endless loop, unable to counter, dodge, or do anything. Yeah, if I hear kid gloves are off again, I'm gonna lose my head. Now, I don't know about you, but I have grown to appreciate the beauty of the maps in Sparking Zero because I spend more time waiting for a match than actually playing the game. This is partly due to the diminishing player base, which I understand Spike has no control over. But the real issue is why don't we have crossplay in a game released in 2024? Like, come on, guys, fix it up, man. While I understand producer Jun Furutani's comments about the game not meant to be balanced, what I don't understand is why do we even have mechanics like Y sense or after image, which practically add no value to the game other than being a broken mechanic which is abused by every character. Like there's literally no need for characters like Vegito to be having after image who are already broken enough as it is. Then you've got the infamous Vanish Wars, where both the players are mashing teleport counters until one of them runs out of key. Well, then you might say that it is better for the player with the lesser key to just concede defeat. But my friend, you might not know this. I have an ego the size of a spirit bomb, and I'm not letting anyone destroy that. And to add to that, giant character is constantly spamming dash into you with you having no counterplay whatsoever was absolutely hilarious to say the least. All this meant that you're left with a game that feels more chaotic than strategic. It was no longer about outplaying your opponent. It was about who could spam exploitable mechanics much more easily. It's a shame because beneath all that noise, there's a truly innovative combat engine trying to fight its way through. I do know that the majority of the issues I listed above have gone through some sort of quality of life fixes, but in my opinion, it's just not enough. It took them, what, 3 months to understand how to fix the Vanishing Wars? It's just too late. Like, by then, the game had lost 90% of its player base. And if we are to compare this to games like Tekken or even Fighter Z, both of which had retained a larger player base by this point of time in their respective life cycles. I know I sound like an ungrateful bitch at this moment, but trust me, guys, I truly am hurt by how bad this game turned out to be. Like, I genuinely wanted them to succeed, but I just couldn't put up with this any longer. Sparking Zero is a game that fails to establish its identity. It tried to appeal to the online fighting genre by having an online rank mode, which again does not make sense if you're not going to have balanced mechanics from the get go. And to add to this, a half baked story mode, which was as entertaining as the new Snow White movie. Yeah, that definitely sucked. Sparking Zero felt like a victim of its own indecisiveness. It tried to be a serious fighting game on one end and a nostalgic fan service simulator on the other. In the end, it turned out to be neither. Now, it would only be fair to discuss what the future of this game holds. Contrary to how I feel about Sparking Zero, I'm pretty optimistic about the second installment in the Sparking franchise. They have all the makings of a successful franchise, and if anything, they can take notes from their predecessors. But what they really need to do is understand that in today's modern scenario, online mode is equally, if not more important than offline modes, which will ultimately determine the success of a fighting game. If you made it this far, then you, my friend, are the real MVP. And thanks for sticking around watching me trying to squeeze my two remaining brain cells making this video. If you enjoyed this content, then watch this space because I have much more bigger and better things planned in the future. With that said, stay legendary and I will catch you later. Adios.